some mysteries refuse to die, haunting the edges of science and reason. When the brightest minds run out of answers, all that remains are questions that challenge what we think we know. Today, you'll discover real-life scientific enigmas so bizarre, they almost feel impossible. And yet, every one of them is true. On the rugged coastlines of Nova Scotia, where waves slam against stone and tides rise over 50 feet, lies a cliff that doesn't just tell a story, it sings a prehistoric song. The Joggins fossil cliffs are not just old. They are a living timeline, etched with the history of life from over 300 million years ago. Here, embedded in the rock, are fossils of ancient forests, bizarre reptiles, and delicate impressions of plants that once swayed in humid Carboniferous jungles. Most astonishing is the discovery of Hylonomus lieli, the earliest known reptile, preserved perfectly in stone. This tiny creature, once skittering through roots and ferns, is now the provincial fossil of Nova Scotia, its bones a bridge between the worlds of fish and land-walking animals. But these cliffs offer more than bones. They are a rare vertical cross-section of time, revealing layer upon layer of life. Fossilized trees, still upright where they once grew, stretch through the rock like ghostly towers. Some layers hold insects, some amphibians, some just the gentle ripple marks of a long-vanished riverbed. The cliffs constantly erode, exposing new secrets. But to reach them, scientists must risk everything, climbing 75-foot walls, battling tides that swallow the shore in minutes. Yet they keep returning, drawn by the promise of discovery. Even Charles Darwin referenced these cliffs in his revolutionary work on the origin of species. That's how powerful their voice is. Each rock face whispers evolution, extinction, and the stubborn persistence of life. Joggins is more than a fossil bed. It's a monument to Earth's forgotten ages, reminding us that we're not the first to walk this world, and we won't be the last. Tucked deep within the quiet woods of Salem, New Hampshire, lies an ancient riddle that defies all logic. Locals call it Mystery Hill, but to those who study it, it's something far more provocative: America's Stonehenge. A sprawling maze of underground chambers, massive stone slabs, and astronomically aligned passages, this site seems purpose-built, yet no one knows by whom. Carbon dating places parts of it at nearly 4,000 years old, long before Columbus, long before any known European contact with North America. So who carved these stones? And why do some chambers align perfectly with solstices and lunar events? Some believe it was the work of Native American civilizations with knowledge we still don't fully understand. But others, fringe yet persistent, claim a more controversial origin: the ancient Celts. The stone structures share uncanny similarities with Celtic ritual sites in Europe. If true, that would rewrite the timeline of transatlantic exploration. But mainstream historians hesitate. Linking this site to the Celts would require accepting that they reached North America thousands of years before Vikings or Columbus ever set sail. And there is no written record, only rocks. Stones cut and stacked with purpose. Tunnels too precise to be random. Slabs that cast shadows in perfect harmony with celestial cycles. Was this a spiritual site? An astronomical observatory? A burial complex? Or something we haven't even considered? Despite decades of excavation and analysis, no definitive answer has been found. Mystery Hill sits in silence, shrouded by trees, daring us to guess its origin. Every theory feels close, but none fit just right. And so the stones remain, a cold and quiet testament to a chapter of human history we've yet to uncover, standing not just as ruins, but as a challenge. In the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, where time seems suspended in ice, a strange discovery emerged in 2020, something so bizarre, scientists simply called it the Thing. At first glance, it resembled a deflated leather ball, rough, potato-shaped, lifeless. But when researchers finally examined it, they realized they were staring at a fossil that defied belief, a 68-million-year-old soft-shelled egg. The second largest egg ever found on Earth. And the only one of its kind. No shell fragments. No embryo. Just a thin, leathery casing, perfectly preserved under layers of ancient sediment. The questions came fast. Who laid it? What kind of creature? The timing pointed to the late Cretaceous period, the last era of the dinosaurs. But nothing we knew made sense. Marine reptiles like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, which once swam those icy waters, were believed to give live birth. They didn't lay eggs. Until now. This single fossil shattered that assumption. Suddenly, everything changed. The reproductive behaviors of entire species had to be reconsidered. Rodrigo Otero, the paleontologist leading the research, admitted no one had ever seen anything like it. The thing opened the door to a forgotten chapter of evolution, one where ocean predators might have dragged themselves ashore to lay massive eggs, or perhaps used nesting grounds long lost to rising seas. And yet, without an embryo, we'll never know what this creature looked like. It left behind no bones, no footprint, just this shell, like a message in a bottle from a vanished world. Today, the thing remains locked in cold storage, studied, debated, still refusing to give up its full truth. A silent echo of a mother, her offspring, and a way of life erased by time but briefly remembered through skin and shadow. Beneath the quiet ruins of a war-scarred cathedral in Belgium, archaeologists unearthed something unexpected in March 2022. A weapon as crude in name as it is clever in design, the Bolock Dagger. Buried near a 13th century cathedral, in land torn apart during World War II, this dagger wasn't just a relic, it was a revelation. Slender, deadly, and shockingly ornate. Its hilt featured two bulbous protrusions that instantly drew attention and inspired its provocative nickname. But this wasn't comedy, it was survival. In the chaos of medieval combat, warriors often lost their primary weapon. When a sword fell, the dagger was the last hope. Designed to be worn at the waist, close to the groin, the dagger could be drawn in a heartbeat. Some say its design mimicked male anatomy intentionally, a symbol of strength, fertility, or even defiance. Others argue its shape was practical, helping grip and control in close quarters. Either way, its presence near the cathedral tells a deeper story. This wasn't just a tool of war. It belonged to someone important, someone buried with honor near sacred ground. The handle's fine craftsmanship, the weight of its blade, the balance, it all points to a high-ranking owner. And yet, for all its deadliness, the dagger also speaks of identity. In British slang, bollocks is a vulgar term for testicles, suggesting the dagger's name came not from historians, but from soldiers who wielded it. A joke, perhaps, shared on battlefields now long forgotten. Theories swirl. Was it used in ritual combat? A badge of status? Or simply a soldier's last line of defense? The answer may never be known. But what's certain is that the Bolock Dagger is more than a weapon. It's a symbol of survival, of masculine pride, and of the gritty, visceral reality of life and death in medieval Europe. In the cold waters of Spain's Viviera estuary, a silent shipwreck slept beneath the waves, its wooden bones rotted, its cargo forgotten. But in October 2021, divers recovered a glint of bronze, worn yet unmistakably crafted. What they found was a marine astrolabe, an ancient navigational device so rare, so precise, it could track the stars and guide ships across the vast unknown. This was not just a relic. It was a symbol of an age when the ocean was both promise and peril. This astrolabe, the 108th ever discovered, was made between 1575 and 1622. Experts believe it belonged to the San Bartolome, a galleon lost in 1597. Wrought from brass, its circular form once spun freely, allowing its owner to align the sun by day, or stars by night, and calculate their ship's exact position on the globe. Before satellites, before compasses were reliable, there was only this. Each astrolabe was handmade, custom, personal, irreplaceable. To hold one was to hold the future in your palm. Its presence in the wreckage tells a story not just of navigation, but ambition. A sailor, somewhere in history, once clutched this instrument while winds roared and waves crashed around him. Maybe he lived, maybe he didn't, but his tool endured. Even after centuries underwater, It ranks among the 10 best preserved ever found. Its markings, though faded, still tell the skies where they are. This artifact doesn't just map stars. It maps humanity's hunger to know where we are, where we're going, and how far we've come. As science advanced, astrolabes faded from use. But this one remains, pulled from darkness, polished by time, and now, glowing with the same eternal light it once used to navigate the heavens. Deep beneath the sands of Saqqara, Egypt, inside a tomb over 5,000 years old, archaeologists uncovered an object that still has no clear explanation. Known as the Disc of Sabu, it's a finely crafted piece of rock, carved from fragile schist, shaped like a wheel, but what it is, or why it exists, no one can say. Discovered in 1936 in the burial chamber of Prince Sabu, son of Pharaoh Anajib, the disc is so precise and so delicate that modern experts struggle to recreate it using the same material. Its outer rim curves inward like the blades of a fan, converging toward a central hub with a small raised cylinder in the middle. It doesn't spin. It doesn't stand. And it wasn't found with anything else to suggest its use. Some claimed it was a candlestick holder. Others said a ceremonial bowl. But none of those theories explain its aerodynamic shape, its mechanical symmetry, or why it was made from schist, a material that splinters easily and requires extreme care to carve. The Egyptians at that time hadn't even discovered the wheel. Yet here was an object shaped like thousands of years too early. It challenges our assumptions of what ancient people knew and what they could do. Some have even suggested it could be part of a more advanced mechanism, an energy device, a component of lost technology, or something we simply don't yet understand. Fringe theorists call it the steering wheel of an alien ship. Serious scholars reject that, but admit, privately, that none of the conventional explanations are satisfying. The Disc of Sabu is more than mysterious. It's disruptive. It doesn't belong. It exists in a space where fact and possibility blur. And until we find something else like it, it remains what it has always been. A single, silent enigma carved in stone, waiting for an answer. In the year 132 AD, long before seismographs or satellite sensors, a Chinese genius named Zhang Heng built something so advanced it feels misplaced in time. It was a bronze vessel, beautifully decorated, but inside, it held a secret, the world's first earthquake detector. And it actually worked. Called a seismoscope, this device stood tall like a ceremonial urn. Around its body, 8 ornate dragons faced outward, each holding a small metal ball in its mouth. Directly below each dragon sat a bronze frog, its mouth open, waiting. At first, it looked like art, but then the earth shook. Inside, a pendulum hidden within the device would respond to distant tremors. So distant, people couldn't feel them. When the tremor tilted the pendulum, it triggered a mechanism. A ball would drop from the dragon's mouth into the waiting frog below. The direction of the dropped ball told observers exactly where the earthquake came from. One day, a ball fell, but no one in the capital felt a thing. Officials dismissed it. Then, days later, a messenger arrived. An earthquake had indeed struck in the direction the device indicated. Zhang Heng's invention had detected it before the news even traveled. In an age without modern science, this was revolutionary. A mechanical mind predicting invisible forces of nature. To this day, historians and engineers marvel at the design. We've recreated it with modern tools, and yes, it still works. How Zhang understood the internal mechanics of tremors remains a mystery. He bridged science and intuition, art and engineering, in ways the modern world still finds astonishing. More than 1,000 years later, we still struggle to predict earthquakes. But in ancient China, one man nearly solved the problem with dragons, frogs, and genius. In March 2022, in a quiet corner of Chama Bay, China, archaeologists brushed away layers of dirt and time to reveal something that would puzzle the entire scientific world: stone tools unlike any seen before. At first glance, they looked like common artifacts. Small bladelets, simple shapes. But closer inspection revealed a truth more profound. These tools were 40,000 years old, And they didn't resemble anything used by Neanderthals, Denisovans, or even early Homo sapiens. They were something else. Something new. Over 380 tools were uncovered, many still lodged in fragments of bone handles. Some were built for scraping hides. Others were meant for boring into wood or carving plant matter. But they weren't crude. These were precise, efficient, and advanced, possibly even mass-produced in what may have been a Paleolithic workshop. The red-stained earth offered another clue. Ochre, possibly used in tanning leather or as symbolic decoration, marked the workspace. This wasn't just survival, it was craftsmanship. Yet no one knows who made them. DNA traces are non-existent. Were they a forgotten offshoot of modern humans? A lost tribe that vanished without record? Or an entirely unknown species with skills we didn't think existed that far back in time? Some researchers suggest they might have been an isolated cultural group, inventing their own tools far from the known centers of human innovation. If true, it changes our entire timeline. It means technological ingenuity didn't radiate from a single source. It sparked independently, again and again, across the ancient world. The tools of Chama Bay are more than relics. They are fingerprints of minds lost to history. We don't know their names, their faces, or their language. But in every bladelet, their hands still speak. A nuclear reactor running on its own, 2 billion years before humans even existed? It sounds impossible. But deep in the lush heart of Gabon, Africa, lies something that rewrites our understanding of nature, the Oklo reactor. Long before civilization began, natural uranium deposits formed beneath the Earth's surface. Over time, water seeped in, triggering a self-sustaining chain reaction, exactly like a man-made reactor. It didn't explode. It didn't melt down. Instead, it pulsed with power, cycling between boiling and cooling, starting and stopping for hundreds of thousands of years. What's even stranger is how we found out. In the 1970s, scientists noticed missing uranium isotopes in rocks. At first, panic spread. Was someone secretly building a weapon? But the truth was far more astonishing. This wasn't theft. It was ancient nuclear fission, perfectly natural and stable. Proof came in the form of trapped xenon gas, clear evidence of nuclear reactions deep in the Earth long before humanity arrived. The chain reaction finally ended when the uranium ran out, leaving behind scorched, altered stone that tells a story no one expected. To this day, no one knows how such perfect conditions aligned. Could it happen again? Theoretically, somewhere under our feet, the Earth might be quietly preparing another Oklo. The mystery isn't just scientific, it's existential. If nature could do this once, what else might it be capable of? High in the mountains of Peru, carved into a single, weathered stone, lies a mystery that mocks modern understanding. The Sayat monolith, covered in over 200 precise carvings, stands as a silent enigma. No tools, no machines, no computers, yet its surface is etched with a complexity that feels futuristic. Scholars and skeptics alike have stared at it, trying to decode the meaning behind every swirl, every line, every creature etched into its face. But none have succeeded. Most agree it likely dates back to the Inca Empire, between the 15th and 16th centuries. But time has blurred its purpose. At first glance, it appears to be symbolic. Images of animals, abstract curves, strange geometric shapes. But deeper analysis reveals patterns, flowing channels, clusters of dwellings, temple-like symbols, even tiered layouts that suggest elevation. Could this be a 3D model of the surrounding region? Some researchers believe the monolith was once used as a testing ground for water engineering. Water would be poured over it, simulating how it would flow through planned canals in the real landscape. If the test worked, the canals would be carved into the land itself. If true, this stone is a miniature city planner, centuries ahead of its time. But that's just one theory. Others believe it had spiritual or ceremonial meaning, or perhaps mapped the stars instead of the Earth. What remains undeniable is its craftsmanship, created by people who left no written explanation. The Sayat monolith is a monument to lost knowledge, perfectly executed, completely misunderstood. It invites you to stare into the past and realize how little we know about the minds that came before us. In the forests of Assam, India, hidden beneath layers of soil and silence, archaeologists uncovered something astonishing: sandstone jars, each towering over 10 feet tall, scattered across the land like silent giants. In 2022, the discovery sent ripples through the academic world. 65 jars, all massive, all unique. No two match, and none bear the marks of any known culture. Some are smooth, others are decorated with patterns and grooves. All are hollowed out, as if once meant to hold something. But what? That's the question no one can answer. The locals, the Naga people, say they've known about the jars for generations. They've even found fragments of bone and relics inside some. Yet they claim the jars weren't made by their ancestors. Across the border, the plain of jars in Laos tells a similar story: giant vessels, tied to burial practices and death rituals. Could the Assam jars serve the same purpose? It's likely, but who made them? And why in such numbers? Some believe the jars held the cremated remains of an ancient, lost civilization. Others think they were used in complex spiritual ceremonies, their size symbolizing status or honor. But without inscriptions or remains that can be directly dated, every theory ends in uncertainty. No culture currently known to science can claim these jars. They're relics of a people erased from history. Their silence is haunting, their presence overwhelming. It's possible the jars were created thousands of years ago by a group so distant from today's populations that no trace of them survives, except this: stone monuments to forgotten lives. Their makers vanished, their language lost, their rituals buried with time. And so, the jars remain, guardians of a past that refuses to be remembered, yet demands not to be forgotten. In the ancient soil of Turkey's Karahoyuk settlement, buried beneath centuries of dust, archaeologists uncovered not gold or stone, but something far rarer: a scrap of woven fabric, delicate yet defiant, whispering of one of humanity's oldest crafts. This wasn't leather, not animal skin. It was textile, woven by hand more than 8,500 years ago. Discovered near the remains of what may have been a Neolithic home, this threadbare relic reveals something profound. Long before writing, before cities, before metal, humans were already spinning fibers into cloth. The site of Karahoyuk was no ordinary village. Around 10,000 people once lived here, settled in permanent dwellings, a bold leap in the Stone Age, when most humans still roamed. And in this place, someone wove history. For years, experts debated the origin of the fabric. Was it linen? Was it wool? But in 2021, they confirmed the answer: bast fiber, a material made from the inner bark of trees like flax or nettle. It's the oldest preserved woven fabric ever found. Its tight weave and durability suggest knowledge passed down through generations, evolving far from the chaos of nomadic life. This was a society of makers, not just hunters. Spinners, dyers, weavers. People who saw raw nature and shaped it into comfort and identity. The discovery challenges everything we thought we knew about clothing's origins. We imagined our ancestors draped in hides. But here is proof they had already mastered threads. That they valued warmth, modesty, maybe even beauty. We will never know who wove this piece or who wore it, but the fabric still speaks. Of innovation, of community, of a moment when humans stopped merely surviving and began expressing something deeper. In the fibers of that ancient scrap lives a fragment of humanity's forgotten soul, stitched into time. The world is full of mysteries, some buried, some forgotten, some simply too strange to explain. But each one dares us to keep questioning. If you found these stories as fascinating as we did, don't forget to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us for more journeys into the unknown. Thanks for watching, and remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction.